Follow my land. You're finished. Bring it in. Keep moving. Go. You're not taking my land. I won't pretend what I did was perfect, but these people blew past a line so thick it could have been insolid concrete poured by power-hungry maniacs drunk on authority. I warned them again and again to leave me the alone. Still, Karen and the entire HOA board treated me patience like weakness, mistaking quiet for surrender, inhaling power like a bargain brand cologne. I'd been running this farm since the day my father passed, learning dirt, seasons, and loss the hardest way possible, trying to turn grief into something that could actually grow. I sold vegetables, repaired fences, paid taxes, kept my head down, and somehow that modest life enraged people addicted to control. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe for premium HOA chaos. My land sat right next to their spotless neighborhood, rows of matching rooftops and manufactured smalls. And Karen couldn't stand that my fields froze to bend to her rulebook. She was the HOA president, a woman who spoke fluent Bilis and thinly veiled threats, who only smiled when someone else squirmed. According to her, my tractors were offensive. My animals smelled. My independence was an eyesore. At first I brushed it off, assuming boredom turned people bitter. But bitterness was her favorite pastime. Every week brought another complaint, another letter, another fine I never owed. Then one morning, an envelope showed up that made my hands tremble. It claimed the HOA plan to build an enormous luxury resort on me farm and was evicting me to proceed evicting, as if I leased soil from her private empire. They wrapped theft in polite wording, pretending stationery and signatures could erase generations. It wasn't a proposal, it was a declaration. They wanted my land cheap, fast, and silent. There was no chance in hell I was selling. That farm carried my father's touch in every post and furrow. Selling would have meant admitting that bullies win when they organize. I chose to respond plainly, calmly, and in writing, so noon could twist my words later. I didn't realize then that honesty would flip a switch, turn irritation into fixation. Before we go any further, drop a comment and tell us what country or city you're watching from. We'd love to see how far the story is. I replied the same day, courteous, butiny elding, telling the board I wasn't selling anything. Not now, not ever, not for any price wrapped in fake authority. I expected posture and maybe another threat dressed up as legal speak. But Karen escalated like something snapped. She showed up at my gate a few days later, heels sinking into dirt she clearly despised. Eyes locked onto mine with a smile that never touched them. She spoke slowly, deliberately, saying the board would do whatever it took to get that land in, that compliance would hurt less than regret. From that moment on, the pressure became a personal. Letters arrived weekly, then daily, stamped with legal logos meant to intimidate. They bragged about high-priced attorneys, whispered about eminent domain, hinted that resistance would cost more than surrender. Ignored every single one, because bullies panic when silence refuses to bend. That only fueled their anger. Then came the letter that changed everything. No pleasantries, no legal padding, just added line. 1 week to sell or face elimination. The word sat there like a bruise. Elimination off what wasn't explained, but the implication crept under my skin. That's when I stopped treating this like a property dispute. I called my lawyer and laid out every letter, every visit, every veiled threat. His tone tightened as I spoke, and held me to document everything immediately. Installed cameras around the farm, reinforced gates, locked doors I'd never locked before. Independence feels different when it has to be defended. Nights grew louder. Every sound stretched thin by suspicion. Strange men started appearing near my fences, claiming they were lost, staring too long, asking questions that didn't add up. One wore a hoodie in summer heat. Another traced me property line with his eyes, like he was sizing it up. They left when confronted, always calm, always smiling. That terrified me more than yelling ever could. Karen stopped sending letters entirely, and that silence felt wrong. The air before a storm that didn't care what it destroyed. Night fell heavy after a punishing day, the kind where fatigue feels deserved but never calming. I sat down, boots still on, when my phone vibrated with the camera alert. Movement near the cabin. Then another. I opened the feed and my gut clenched. 3 men. I didn't recognize. Moving with intent, not curiosity. One carried something long, wrapped in cloth. Another held an axe like it wasn't new to his hands. This wasn't trespassing. This was purpose. I didn't panic. Panic burns time. I grabbed my shotgun, hands steady from years off hunting, and deliberately left the front door unlocked. Then I slipped out the back, circling wide through shadows I knew better than daylight. My heart pounded not with fear, but rage. They'd crossed from threat to action, and that rewrites rules fast. I quietly called the police, gave my address, and whispered exactly what I saw. They went into the cabin like it belonged to them. Boots thudding, voices low, laughing about something stupid. I fired a warning shot into Thule from outside, the blast tearing through the night. Chaos erupted instantly. They burst out, cursing, stumbling, scanning a darkness they didn't understand. One raised his gun wildly. I fired again, dirt kicking up near his feet, sending him scrambling. That's when they saw me silhouetted by the porch light. One man panicked and charged, axe raised like a terrible decision already made. I aimed and fired, stopping him cold. He dropped where he stood, shock locked across his face. Another tried to fire back, hands shaking, hitting nothing. I fired on Seymour, and he went down hard, screaming instead. All fighting, sirens sliced through the noise. Seconds later, blue lights washing across the fields like judgment. The remaining men dropped their weapons and hit the ground, crying, begging, suddenly very cooperative. I stood there, breathing hard, watching uniforms flood my land, knowing something irreversible had been set in motion whether I wanted it or not. By dawn, the farm no longer felt like mine alone. Police tape snapped along the fences while deputies scavenged weapons, footprints, shell casings, and shattered intent. Interrogations unraveled quickly, within 48 hours. Written confessions named Karen as the organizer and financier, with 3 board members approving payments and logistics. Charges stacked fast. Sentencing came months later, clean and merciless. Karen was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, solicitation of murder, mail fraud, and racketeering. The judge handed down 38 years flat in state prison. No parole eligibility until year 30. She was ordered to pay $4,300,000 in restitution, covering legal costs, farm damage, emotional harm, and investigatives. Her assets were seized. Her HOA authority to a footnote of disgrace. The board members didn't fare much better. 2 rejected plea deals received 22 years each, serving mandatory minimums before parole review. Year 17. Restitution hit them jointly for $1 million apiece. One member cooperatively testified fully and received 9 years, serving 7 years and 3 months before supervised release. Still owing $600,000, the surviving gunman was sentenced to 32 years for attempted murder, armed invasion, and conspiracy. He must serve 27 years before eligibility and pay $280,000 in restitution. Their remaining accomplice took a plea, earning 16 years, serving 13, and paying $90,000. The man who died became the final nail in Karen's case, cited repeatedly as an aggravating factor. When the sentences were read, the courtroom went silent. No speeches, no excuses, just numbers that swallowed futures whole. The HOA dissolved under state oversight. The resort plan disappeared. I replanted fields, repaired fences, and reclaimed mornings that belonged to Megan. Power finally met consequence, and consequence didn't blink. Justice lingered long after the headlines faded, etched into public records, ruined legacies, and an empty boardroom noon would ever dare reclaim again without appeal or mercy. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she'd served? Comment below.